Hi, I'm Mary-Anne Bennett, clinical nutritionist, master NLP coach, and amazing person. I'm going to be on that online prosperity show, and you know what? You're going to hear about how I transformed my life to actually make and live a longer, healthier life. And if you want to know how you can do it too, be sure to tune in. Thanks, Prosper. I can't wait to talk to you.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show, the ultimate destination for exclusive insights into thriving in business and in life. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today we're going to be diving deep into a transformative journey that's as inspiring as it is enlightening. Now, for those that are watching right now and those that are listening, I want you to imagine turning the big 5-0 and then decide, wait a minute, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And then instead of celebrating your 50th, you go on and enroll in university, not just to earn a degree, but to actually reclaim your health and vitality. And our guest today did just that. Now, Mary-Anne, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Prosper. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. Well, the pleasure is all mine. I've been anticipating this. I mean, you've been sending hints of information here and there. And now that we're going to be able to have you on the show, we'll try and piece together all those bits of information. So thank you so much. But before we get excited, Mary-Anne, is there something that you want to let us know?
Yeah, I am a licensed practitioner. So even though my advice is I'm covered, I'm not a medical practitioner. So if you have any concerns about any advice that I give today, consult your licensed medical practitioner.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for that. Now that we've taken out all the legalese out of the room, ladies and gentlemen, now Mary-Anne was actually diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and she didn't accept that to be her destiny. So she didn't accept a life of limitations. And instead, she actually went on and embarked on a mission to heal herself. And in the process, she actually discovered a passion for helping others do the same. Now she is the founder of AdelaideNutrition and Wellbeing, and she combines clinical nutrition, NLP, hypnotherapy, so she can empower women to live with energy, clarity, and a purpose. And this is just an amazing thing that, you know, so many people are dealt the cards that they're dealt with, and they just curl in fetal position and say, you know what, that's it for me, but not our guest today. So I can't wait to jump into it. But while we're going through this episode, if you've ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, or even just doubted your ability to change, I think this episode is going to be that roadmap you need for your own transformation. Now, Mary-Anne, I could go on and talk about things that I'm not even qualified to talk about. Tell us about your time as a self-employed cleaner that received the diagnosis at 50 that you've just got fibro.
Well, I've been sick for a while. I've been, tired and chronically ill, after spending 30 years as a cleaner. Also, mother to 4 kids, and by the time I was 50, I had 4 grandkids as well. So it was a really tough time. I mean, my hubby, worked really hard and supported me, but there was nothing that I could do. All the things I tried, I went to doctors and specialists and tried natural health practitioners, but nobody really had the answers. So when I got the diagnosis, I went, wow, now I know what I'm dealing with. I'll be healed. But that really wasn't the case because nobody really had the answers. So I turned to Dr. Google, like a lot of other people did, and started looking into what fibromyalgia really meant. But there really wasn't any answers. It was like the specialist said, here, take these pills and you can live with it for the rest of your life. And I went, well, what if I don't want to? So I heard an advert in the radio to study nutrition. So yes, the year I turned 50, I enrolled to study nutritional medicine with the whole plan of understanding my own body so that I could heal myself.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for opening us up to that. So your job was obviously a physical job if it entailed cleaning. And if you had that fatigue, how did you manage to work?
I got out of bed. I've got to admit that I've always been one of those people that put one foot in front of the other no matter how bad I felt. So I would get out of bed, go to work, come home, pick the kids up from school, feed them, crash, and it was just rinse and repeat for a long time. And I was exhausted. I would get home so exhausted that I could barely even function, and then I would go to work, go to bed, and then I would have to get up and go to work again. I started work at 4 o'clock in the morning. And then sometimes I worked all day. I worked 3 jobs. At one point, I worked 3 jobs because I was a single parent. So I didn't have the opportunity to not work. I just put one foot in front of the other. I basically lived on autopilot.
And what were your eating habits during this time? Because I can only imagine.
I lived on a lot of processed food. To keep me going at work, I drank copious amounts of coffee, Coke, chocolate, anything that would give me a little bit of a spark of energy. And then sometimes to deal with the stress and the pain, I drank copious amounts of alcohol at night time, and it would basically what would help me get off to sleep.
And you'll be good enough to drive in the morning, taking the kids to school, and also you going to work?
Probably not sometimes. But I'm a reformed character. I don't do that anymore.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing that information with us. So you did this until you were 50. Were there any signs or any check engine light moments that, were warning signs that this was going to end badly?
Well, I talk to people who say, oh, well, my health has started to decline, but I spent the whole of my life with various different health problems, with gut problems, with migraines, so I never could say that there was ever a time where I actually felt really well. That was, I discovered, probably a lot to do with my diet and lifestyle. So it just was almost it wasn't something happened and then I got sick. It was probably a gradual decline. And I didn't listen. I didn't listen to my body. Now and that's what I knew, didn't know then that I know now, is that the signs and symptoms were there for a long time and I just didn't listen to my body.
My question now, Mary, is this just a Mary thing just because obviously, like you said, you're a single mom, you had bills to pay, you had things to do. Is that just something that only you would have experienced or have done? Or is this something that other people are just silent about and they're just maybe coping and functioning well?
I think as a society, we're so used to just putting one foot in front of the other, no matter, the stress of life means that we just keep going. And more specifically for women, because they are often, working, they're often parents. And so their health is always, what I found is I was not alone. When I started working with clients, it was women as a whole put their own health secondary to all the other roles that they have in life. And the signs and symptoms for all of them are still there. They're just like me. They just ignore them because they never ever prioritize their own health because they think their roles as a parent or as a employee is more important.
And obviously when you then went to the doctor, what had you seen that made you think, wait a minute, I need to go see the doctor? And when you then got that diagnosis, what was now happening around you that made you realize I need help?
Well, I started going to the doctor, and I think the diagnosis of fibromyalgia probably took about 8 years. So I'd been going back and forth, and the doctors had no solutions to what was going on. I got offered medication, I got offered other solutions, but it really didn't help. So when I decided to take, like when the specialist finally said to me, oh, this is what you've got. Well, when I asked him what else I could do other than take medication, he said, nothing. You just got to live with it for the rest of your life. And I went, what? Like, why would I want to do that? Like, I've got kids and grandkids, other than my health, my life was fantastic. I had all the things I needed. I had a husband who, provided, and when I couldn't work, it was like, well, what else can I do? Like, it's not, when you're unhealthy, it just doesn't affect your work. It affects your ability. I couldn't play with my grandkids. I still had teenage kids. I mean, I became a grandparent at 39. So my grandchildren, had grandchildren for quite a long time, but I couldn't play with my grandkids. I couldn't go out and drive up to the shop and have a coffee or meet with a friend because I was exhausted all the time. I basically stayed at home when I wasn't at work. So it was a really hard thing to do. And people didn't understand. My family didn't understand. My friends didn't understand. We would organise a catch up, and I would have to cancel because I was exhausted, and they just didn't get it. No one had dealt with anything like it, so they didn't understand.
Many would have felt defeated and just recoiled into that diagnosis, but you didn't. What made you choose to fight and maybe start seeking alternative paths to healing? You've been with this for 8 years. Why was it any different now?
Because I guess I'd always been one of those people that believe that there's an answer for everything. I lost both of my parents really young. By the time my dad when I was 25 and my mother when I was 40. So I went, there's got to be more to this health thing. There's got to be something that I don't know. There is something I can find out. So I just kept looking. I kept looking and I kept looking and I kept looking. And when I enrolled to go to university, all the pieces of the puzzle all fell into place. And so when you understand how amazing the human body is at healing itself, if you really know what's going on, the doctors didn't really, well, I don't know if they didn't know what was going on. I think with a lot of chronic illnesses, they put you in a basket and say, this is what you've got and here's the standard medical treatment for it, versus looking at, well, what is it in your diet and lifestyle that could be impacting, or could be, your diagnosis could be a consequence of your poor diet and lifestyle. And I discovered that all of the things that I had been doing were not great for my body. And what I also discovered, because one of the things I did to try and find out what was going on in my body, is I had my genes tested. So I did genetic testing to try and uncover if there was anything else underneath that I didn't know about, because there's all these other chronic illnesses in my family. And here I was with fibromyalgia, and what else could be causing it? So there's a lot. I just kept digging as deep as I could to find out what was going on in my body. And then when I knew, I could put in place all the things I learned at university about health and nutrition to try to get my health back.
But going to university at 50, Mary-Anne, that's commendable in and of itself. You already had what you wanted. You already, like you said, were a grandma by then. And what was the experience like knowing that you are going on this journey? Was that online, or you had to actually attend in person?
No, it was a combination of on campus and online. So we could choose to do about 30% of our subjects online. it was a challenge because I had people saying to me, you know, I didn't finish high school. So I hadn't studied. I left school at the end of year 11 when I was 16. I hadn't studied for a very long time. Even I doubted after I impulsively enrolled, oh my God, now what have I done? But what I understood is that once I commit to something, I give it my all, because I don't know about you, I don't like to fail, and I don't like for people to see me fail. So I just was determined. I was just determined that and at that point I was the first one in my family to go to university. None of my sisters, I've got 4 sisters and a brother, none of them had been to university. Since then, a couple of my nieces and a couple of my nephews have been to university. And my son is currently studying again. So I just was just determined. And it's funny how going to university opened up that passion, opened up something in my brain that now I can't stop learning. I can't stop learning more and more about the body and more about how to help people.
Absolutely. You see, when I was looking at your qualification list, I was like, oh my God, do we even have a budget to have a person like this on the show? You know, because you're now combining NLP, hypnotherapy, nutritional medicine, all of that. You didn't stop.
And there's more, because I've just been accepted to do my master's, doing a master's in mental health and neuroscience starting in July.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Now, what were the stories around Christmas or the dinner table when you were telling everybody else that I'm going to university?
Well, one of my sisters said to me, what makes you think you can do that? And I'm going, well, what makes you think I can't? My husband was amused. My kids were really supportive. By then, we literally became empty nesters the year I enrolled to go to university. So our children range in age from 43 down to 30 now. So my kids were great. My adult kids were going, yeah, Mum, go for it. And, you know, my 34-year-old son, he was the one that was the most amazing. He said, realise that if you don't know it, just wing it, and P's get degrees. And I'm going, well, I'm not sure I'm happy with a P. And he said, Mum, in the long run, nobody looks at the P's. So I just kept going. And, you know, there were I studied with 17-year-olds and all the way up to 70-year-olds. So there were so many different people there were women there that were having babies and doing the same degree with young children that I was doing without having any of those responsibilities. I had a husband at home who was doing all the cooking and the cleaning. He'd feed me. I'd come back down the office and do my studies. My kids were all out there. And all I had to do was just focus on my studies when I wasn't doing anything else. It was amazing. It was mind-blowing, actually.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you've ever heard the story of Roger Bannister, the guy who ran the 4-minute mile. And from what you have done and established in your household, like you said, you're the first person to ever, see the doors of a university. And now everybody else is following in your shoes. So congratulations just on that part alone, and not even talking or alluding to the people that you've influenced along the way and the people that you're helping. So good on you for choosing yourself.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And for, once you were there at university, you didn't stop, you kept going. Were there any challenges, like somebody who hadn't studied before? Obviously, was it easy for you to grasp the information?
It wasn't. It was completely foreign to me. And the other thing that happened along the way was I was still trying to heal myself. I was still trying to, I still wasn't 100% well. So I spent I think in the first year and a half, I had 4 different surgeries to fix 4 different things. I every time I thought something else was that I was getting on the road to recovery, something would throw a spanner in the works, and it would mean that I would have to slow down and refocus. But it just gave me more, it made me more determined. There were times when when I wasn't very well, where I had to get extensions on assignments. I had to defer exams because there was one exam scheduled the day that after I had bowel surgery. So there were things to continue to challenge my health alongside the studies being challenging me. However, I met so many amazing lecturers and other students that supported me while I was there, and some of them I'm still in contact with now, even though I finished university nearly 8 years ago.
Would you have ever dreamed that a world that is that supportive exists?
I wasn't unaware that I would get the amount of support that I would. I mean, I had support from my kids and my husband, and I had a great group of supportive friends. But it's funny how some of those fell away when I changed my life. They liked the old party, have fun, no responsibilities, and that person that would eat junk food and go and drink until they fell over. And then all of a sudden I wasn't that person anymore. All of a sudden I was that person that looked after themselves, who cared about what they put in their body all the time. And so my friendship group evolved with me, my evolution. And there were some of them that are still complaining about their health and still, even though they've watched me transform mine, are still doing the same things that they know as making them sick and, and tired and fatigued, and they know they can do something about it. So I was just determined to do whatever I could with the support I had. My hubby was the best. It was funny how I went from the sister who said, "Why would you want to do that?" is the same sister who's now asking me for advice about her health problems 10 years down the track. So I've just been determined to keep going and let people just watch what I'm doing, because the best thing I can do is set an example and show people the way that if you really understand what's going on in your body and you look after it, you can change your health outcomes.
Absolutely. And so many people, just stay in quiet desperation because they haven't got the fortitude or the energy that you now have to even try and change their lives, even if they tried. So that's one of those things. So tell us about the stuff that you're now helping people with. I mean, when I looked at your work, you offer a 5-step Thrive strategy. And this looks like it's central to your practice. Can you maybe break down what this approach is and why it's necessary for people to have it done this way?
So what I developed from my own learning journey was what it meant to actually understand what's really going on in your body and heal. So a lot of that, the 5-step Thrive strategy is then about body awareness is the first step. So it's about talking about understanding what's going on in your body, listening to the signs and symptoms and the signals, and then addressing understanding what's going on underneath. What I discovered for myself was mindset was really important. So we work on mindset, because we know that the mind, the things we think and say to ourselves, and our unconscious mind can have a huge impact on our health, being that, a lot of it can be unconscious. But it's also then about understanding that using mindset and NLP to help people make those lifestyle changes that they need to make to actually be able to start the healing process. They often think they want to do that, but they can't because there's some unconscious reason. So I use mindset work. We also use, the power of goal setting and habits, because it's really important for people to know that, in order to be able to be well, you need to be able to do these things over and over again and make it a part of your life, not just something that you do once and then think, oh, well, it didn't work, so I won't do it again. And giving them the strategies and the tools. So teaching them about goal setting, meal planning, habit tracking, and giving them the resources and the tools, because what you're looking for at the end of that is empowering them to live a long, healthy life, because I'm all about longevity. I'm all about people understanding that health and longevity is not something that you naturally get. It's something that takes work, and if you understand and have a healthy body and a healthy mind, anybody can live to 100.
Fantastic. Well, this is all really, really good. And from the kind of conversation that we're having here, I'm getting an understanding that there has to be a connection between mind and body, because so many people have not been told or taught about that connection and how it actually helps, as you keep referring to, healing yourself. I'm taking it this was a game changer for you. Can you maybe share with us what this is all about and when this realization sort of really had a profound impact in what you're doing right now?
When I did all the body and all the physical healing, like learning about how to help myself, my body heal. But what I realized was from, we all have life events and we all have life experience that can impact us, and we don't understand the long-term or the underlying impacts. Things like what we say to ourselves, our self-esteem, all of that was holding me back. And then I met a lady who teaches in NLP and hypnotherapy, and I started learning about the impact, learning about it, because I thought, how am I going to help my clients change these behaviors? How am I going to help them with the mind, how their mind and their thoughts are impacting their health? So I learned hypnotherapy and realized that it was great for getting people to change habits, but it really wasn't making the biggest impact. So then on top of that, I decided I had some NLP with someone else who I'd met, and that had made a profound impact on how I felt about myself and gave me the drive to, I guess, really persist with how I could help people. So I learned it mostly because I thought it would help my clients, never understanding the profound impact that it would have on my own mental health and the things that would come up for me around my conditioning, around my behaviours, around my childhood and all of those things. And you never know when those things are holding somebody back because they don't understand the impact of those. I mean, we talk about trauma. There's a lot of, stories, and there's a lot of stuff about childhood trauma, but childhood, the things we go through in our childhood don't have to be traumatic to have a long-term impact on our mind and mental health. So if we can understand that working on the mind and our mental health can make us mentally stronger, so that we can help ourselves work on our physical health.
I read once that no matter what happens, the body keeps score. The body remembers just about everything that we take it through, and then the mind will just keep playing that message again up until you revisit it. And so many people are just in that perpetual loop, and they don't quite, get out of that. But you are also talking about self-empowerment, which basically now gives responsibility to the person to either look after themselves or, the onus of actually taking care of themselves. If you're living in a country like Australia, where the medical system is absolutely amazing. The doctors are there, the professionals are there. Why abdicate them from, or why take them away from the jobs that they are designed to do, and you start worrying about empowering yourself?
I guess what I learned in my health journey is that there was only so much the medical system could help me with. Like when parts of my body weren't working properly, the doctors could operate on them and heal them. There were, if there were signs and symptoms that really needed to be treated, medication could help. Conventional medicine will keep you alive, and it's a great profession because we all need it, because there will be a lot of people that wouldn't still be alive, including my husband who has heart problems. But they weren't really, when it didn't fit into the textbook of we could treat this condition with this drug, what else could we do? So what I advocate for is understanding the medical system is there to keep us alive in conditions where the body needs some intervention. But when it comes to self-empowerment, it's about you intervening on what it is you can do to actually help the body heal itself, or to help the body to maintain and improve your health. So for me, it was about, my doctor never asked me about how much alcohol I drank or how much what I ate. Never in my life did my doctor ever ask me about my diet. So the things that we know impact someone's health are not just what's your symptoms and what can we do to help you with that. I never got asked any of those things. And when I asked the question of my rheumatologist, it was him that said to me, there's really nothing else you can do. Well, I'm obviously living proof that there are other things you can do, and if you know what they are. But as a society, we're conditioned to treat disease or chronic illness or health problems through the conventional medical system, and then that's it. That's all you can do. I'm here to show clients is that there is more you can do than just go down that path if you want to, but what else is it you can do to help yourself? And when you think about helping yourself, that's all about self-empowerment, and that's what I've done for myself. I didn't realize that was what it was, but now I get my clients to understand is that I can't help them change or heal themselves or put in place. They have to be empowered to do it for themselves, because it makes no difference to my life if they don't get healthier. If they pay and come and see me and they don't follow what I ask them to do, I can't do anything about it. I can't make people change. So what I understood is that by empowering the clients to do the work and getting them to understand the impact of what that would have on them. But when you help someone heal that's got a chronic illness, you help their families as well. So it becomes a ripple effect. It becomes if you can show someone how to do it, well, then they can show somebody else. So I'm really excited about the fact that is a really huge part of what I do now, is like empowering people just to understand how amazing the human body is. And if they really put in the work and if they really want to, they can have the health that they want by just doing the work on themselves.
Now, how is it that you work with people? Do they need to be physically there in Adelaide, or have you got other provisions that you offer?
I do about 90% of my client consults online. It wasn't something that I've always done. I absolutely love the fact that I can help clients anywhere in Australia, anywhere in the world. I love still do consults in person. I've still got a lot of local clients, local Adelaide clients that come and visit me in my office, and in fact, some of them insist they don't want to do it any other way. But, with technology, it gives us the ability to make a difference all around the world, all around Australia, definitely all around Australia. I love working with clients online because it means that they can get the services that they need from wherever they are.
Absolutely. Now, you would understand that this is a whole different way of viewing health and wellness, that from the norm, which a lot of people have grown up with. Every person that has that sort of authority in their eyes is probably wearing a white dust coat and has got things that are hanging over them. How do you address the trust that people have or the concerns they might have when it comes to alternative healing methods?
When you think about it, there have been alternative healers for years. Chinese medicine in India, we just as a society have been conditioned. There's all this conditioning around chronic health. But what I think is missing from the health system is self-empowerment. It's this understanding that there is an option and everybody has choice. You can go to your doctor and get the help you want, and if that's the path that you want to go, but there's a growing need for more than that, because there is a growing need for people to get more and wanting to know more and to really want to understand what else they can do, because the conventional medical system has its limitations. And what we want to give people is choice. We want to give them choice to say, well, here's what I offer. Here's how it works. I'm a classic example of somebody who has been through the system and gone, well, that's fine, you've helped me do all of these things, but what else can I do for myself? So it's all about understanding is that you always have a choice. You always have a choice to go and see a natural health practitioner. You always have a choice of whether you just go down the conventional medical system. And what you get out of it is what you want to get out of it.
Absolutely. And I think that's a fair call, because so many people will be looking at it with judgmental eyes, but they haven't actually gone through it. Now, obviously, you are a perfect case study of the system. You're a product of your own, service and what you have actually created for yourself. I mean, if somebody would have been in your situation with that diagnosis, they would have just curled in fetal position and just waited for the end, really, but you didn't. Now, has this worked on other humans besides yourself? Because from what we're gathering, you won't let off, but does this actually work on other humans that are not you? I mean, you could give us an example without maybe mentioning names or things that could identify them in a public setting.
I've got a client that I've been working with for about 4 years now. She has chronic health problems. I can't describe them exactly, because she wouldn't want me to. But her biggest problem was that she literally nearly died. So it was understanding for her that her biggest problem was her mental health problems, but her mental health problems were impacting her physical health, and that her specialist didn't know how to help her with both. She was seeing a psychologist and a psychiatrist, and she was seeing the best specialist that money could buy, but she still didn't have the pieces of the puzzle. She couldn't understand why they couldn't understand how they could not link the two together. So I helped her to understand the impact that her mental and physical health were having on as a whole, and then gave her strategies. A lot of it, the information was there, the reasons for it were there, but she couldn't see them because she'd never been exposed to them. She'd never had anyone actually say to her, well, there is a link between your mental health and your diet, or there are a link between your mental health and your diabetes. So there is so many things that we can see as a natural health practitioner. The biggest thing that I learned through nutritional medicine was to try and join the dots, to try and say to somebody, well, these are all the things you've already got going on. This is what they mean, and this is what we can do to help you. So it's about understanding, isn't it? It's about, for her, I had a client came to me who had long COVID, And the biggest problem she was having was she thought she was going to be stuck with it. But what it turned out was she'd lost her joy in life. She hated her job. She hated where she lived. She was isolated. When we worked on the mind and emotions of that part of it, the physical illness evaporated. So it was understanding that for some people, their physical health can impact their mental health and vice versa. So we need to treat someone as a whole. The medical system will treat someone's gut or someone's heart or someone's brain or someone's mental health, but they aren't good at linking it all together. And that's what I think my specialty or my passion is to help people understand is that they are a whole human being, and how do we look at what's going on for them and then help them make sure that it's all you can heal it and you can get the body back in harmony.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing that. And for those that are maybe intrigued by your approach, is there certain signs that they need to look out for them to start their journey towards, finding help from people like yourself or from yourself? And if there are those things, could you mention them and let us know how people can connect with you and learn more?
Well, a lot of people have aches and pains. A lot of people get headaches all the time. One of the biggest problems that I come across is depression and anxiety. What we know about depression and anxiety is is it a mental health problem, or is it a nutritional deficiency? Nutrition plays a huge role in all the things we do. The body needs nutrients to produce neurotransmitters to help the brain function. There are so many things that we know that can join the dots together. So for someone who's who's starting to get anxious or not feeling comfortable in their own body, if they're getting aches and pains, we can't accept that those are normal. When you start listening to the things those are the signs that the body's going to give you that something is starting to, those are the hints. It'll hint first, and then it'll give you a more harder knock on the door, and then a chronic illness could be the end result. So if you start at the beginning and start listening to those subtle signs, you can then stop the progression to a chronic illness. There isn't. So for me, I always offer services. I always offer a free consult, a discovery call where we talk about what's going on now and how it is that I can help. Because there are very few people that don't have something going on. Sometimes they just need their diet tweaked. But if someone's got a full-blown chronic illness, we just really need to get to the bottom of that. And so then I offer programs where we work together for that 6 or 12 months so that we can start at the beginning, and at the end of that, people have all the information. We know what's going on with the body. We've given them tools. We've done the mindset work. I do full mindset breakthroughs with them to try and help them. And then we work through all of those habits they're going to need for the rest of their life to keep them healthy. So it really is, for some people, it's simple, a couple of months and they've got all they need. But if it's someone who's got a long-term chronic health issue, it could be 6 or 12, often it's 6 or 12 months that they will need to work consciously on their health with me.
Absolutely. And what would be the best way that people can start their journey with you?
Well, you can find me online. So if you go onto my website, you can book a free 30-minute discovery call. You can check me out. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a good place. It can be as simple as just having a chat. The discovery call can be in person, on the phone, or online, depending on what people want. And I've got lots of free resources on my website, lots of free recipes, lots of free information. They can find my story on there. So if they, want to know more about how I've been going and what I've been doing, so I really love the fact that I can do this work. I still get asked, because I turned 60 at the end of last year, and I still get asked every day when I'm going to retire, because my husband's been retired for nearly 7 years now. And I go, why would I retire when I'm on a mission? I'm on a mission to help people heal themselves. I'm on a mission to raise the vibration of the world so we can all understand that, health and longevity is possible for everyone. And I have to tell you this too, is that I'm in the process of, I'm going to have my own podcast.
Oh my, oh wow. This is amazing. I definitely will put all those links in the show notes below. And yeah, I can't wait to celebrate your podcast with you, because I think your life story and your experience have so much value for a lot of people that are about to give up. And I feel like with what you are doing, you're literally giving people back to themselves.
I'm giving them back their life. I have the tagline. So my podcast is going to be called The Longevity Coach. And you need to write this down, because my tagline is helping people put more life in their years, not just years in their life.
Ooh. So how did you come up with that? Helping people.
I actually didn't. Thanks, ChatGPT. But yeah, he helped. Oh, Chatty Charlie.
Yes, absolutely. Helping people put more life in their years than years in their life. It really, really rhymes, because so many people, I heard a statement that says a lot of people die at age 25, but they only just get buried at age 95. They wouldn't have done anything with all this time. They would have just worked and, just gone through the motions and things of that nature. And if people are asking you when you're going to retire, I think you should tell them, I'm only just getting started.
Well, I really am. It's almost like I knew at some point, I know my whole life that there was more to just working as a cleaner and being a mum and a grandma. I knew there was more. I just didn't realise it until I got sick and then went to uni and went, hell, why would I stop now? Because I'm just getting started on what really matters to me. Because if I can help myself recover my health, I mean, I've got longevity genes. So had a couple of great, not my parents, because they didn't look after themselves, but I had a couple of great aunties, one who lived to 99 and one who lived to 104. So I've probably got another 30 or 40, if not more, years in my life yet. I want to make them good years. I'd want them to be healthy years, because that's what we can do. We can put more health in our years. We can live healthier if we know, if we put the effort in, if we just get off our butts and go, yes, that's what I want to do. I want to live a long, healthy life.
Now, Mary, I don't know how you're going to take this, but I just really believe that to whom much is given, much is required. And most people have things like this and they say it's happened to them. But I kind of feel like this diagnosis happened for you, because had that not happened, would you have left that job, that lifestyle, that everyday humdrum that you were doing, and really stopped because of this pattern break that you received?
No, I don't think. I agree totally. This chronic illness happened to me for a reason, and it gave me a reason to ask questions and put a full stop on what wasn't working and go, there is more for me to do in this world. I love parenting. I love grandparenting. I love life. I've always loved it. But when you understand I now understand for myself, is that I'm not doing this for myself. I'm doing this for the difference that I can make. I said once to somebody, the reason why I do it is that because, if I can help just one woman get her health back, it can impact her children, her grandchildren, her family, her friends, her husband, her whole life. And if I can do that 100 or 1,000 or 1,000,000 times, imagine how healthy the planet will be. That is my mission, to help as many people, one person at a time, as I can, to change the health outcomes of as many people as possible.
Fantastic. Now, Mary, I can't thank you enough for the time that we spent on the call today. Like I've said, your life story, your experience, and everything else that you're doing is just remarkable in and of itself. I know you told us you're doing a master's now and you're going to be starting a podcast, but I feel like you owe us a book.
Do you know that I made a choice this year. Do I do the book or do I do the podcast? And I think the podcast will be I chose the podcast because here's the thing. I like writing, but I love talking so much more than writing. But there is a book there. There is a book there. It'll come.
Well, if you really look at it, you're already writing the book anyway, because with the podcast, you can literally transcribe that information that you've already spoken, get a really good editor, and then the book can now be part of the episodes that you've put out there. So it's just a matter of, you looking at it in a different way, just like you looked at your health in a different way.
Yeah. All I can say is watch this space.
Fantastic. I can't wait. This is a space that I'm going to be glued onto, for a while. And thank you so much, first of all, for choosing your own self on this journey, because not only, like you say, this now your mission to help others, but just even looking at your own immediate family, the people that would have either gone in a whole different way. Now they're looking at and emulating your example, because representation matters. Just like you say, you've got great aunts that lived up until 104. Now that you know that for yourself, it's insights that no one can take away from you. What you now know that you can't stop yourself. So you can imagine the empowerment that you're giving those that are in your immediate family, and then everybody else that's watching this video today, listening to this video, that's going to be listening to your podcast and also listening to your audiobook and reading the book that you're going to write, all of those things.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
No worries. I'm glad that you invited me. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, absolutely. The pleasure is all mine. It's not every day that I get to speak to interesting characters like this, so I value the journey that you're on.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Now, for those that are watching, if you're feeling inspired as I am, I want you to ask yourself this. Are you ready to start taking control of your own health journey? If so, why don't you join Mary-Anne's Time to Thrive Masterclass and discover how you can actually integrate mind, body, and nutrition for a revitalized life. And also, while you're at it, you could also visit Adelaide Nutrition and Wellbeing so you can learn more. And as Mary has said, she is offering a free 30-minute session, a discovery call that you can actually get started on. And if you like what we're putting out here on the Online Prosperity Show, don't forget to share this episode with somebody who might have received a terminal illness diagnostics themselves. And maybe this could be something that could turn their life around. You never know what you can do by just being that friend who's there and actually cares. And if somebody has shared this with you, please subscribe to the Online Prosperity Show for more transformative stories like these. And Mary, once again, I can't thank you enough for the time and the value and the generosity that you shared with us on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Prosper. It was amazing. And like I say, I just inspired by people like you who have an amazing podcast. It's what made me want to have my own. and help other people.
Absolutely. I will definitely be cheering on that podcast, and I can't wait. Now, for those that are watching or listening, stay tuned for our next episode where we're going to be exploring innovative ideas to cultivate a more happier and more fulfilling existence. Until then, I want you to remember, transformation begins with a single step. Take yours today. Bye for now.